the month of love. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Unpack with Michelle. I'm super excited for love, hence the red dress. Woo! Anyway, I'll get right into it. Everyone can learn from this video. I actually got this book as a gift and I'm so grateful for it, and I highly recommend it. It's the 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. So let me tell you what the 5 love languages are. So there's words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, receiving gifts, and physical touch. So those are the 5 love languages. He basically says in his book that everyone has a primary love language and it falls in one of those 5 categories. In terms of what a primary love language is, it's how someone feels best loved. So an example that he gave, which I thought was pretty deep, was imagine if you're with someone who speaks Mandarin, right, like Chinese, and they can't understand English, and you speak English. No matter what you say to them about how you feel about them in English, no matter how genuine you are, they can never understand what you're saying because you're just speaking the wrong language, which is what happens when people are in relationships, because you might be expressing love to someone in a way that's not their primary love language, and so there's like a bit of miscommunication there. So 4 general takeaways that I got from it is that you should, number 1, not assume someone's love language. And he does mention in his book that from speaking to some men, they always think that their primary love language is physical touch. You can like physical touch, but that's not how you feel most love. So maybe your actual love language is words of affirmation. He also says that people are most naturally going to express love to other people in the way that they feel most loved. So let's say for me, if my love language is words of affirmation, then if I'm in a relationship with someone and I want to express love to them, I'll always give them words of affirmation because that's my primary love language. Then he also says that expressing love to your partner in a relationship or in marriage in their love language is not going to be easy, which is pretty much saying that because it's not natural, it's not going to be easy. And then he ends with saying love is a choice. So you do have to learn your partner's love language and to learn to speak it so that they feel most loved, because the relationship is about you and it's also about them. You both need to feel loved. So let's get into the juicy stuff, starting with love language number 1, words of affirmation. When it comes to words of affirmation, I took away like 2 categories. So there is compliments and then there's also words of encouragement. When it comes to compliments, he does say be very specific, like be like, ooh girl, you look so good in that red dress. And then, that's very specific. Like she's wearing a red dress and you say you look good in it. And that person whose primary love language is words of affirmation will feel some type of way and feel loved because of your compliment. Or if your handsome boyfriend is in a nice blue suit with a brown belt, that's actually my favorite combo, yo. And you say, oh, you look so handsome in that color. That's something that would be well received by your partner. The second way is words of encouragement, and on this one he says you're encouraging your partner to pursue something that they already have an interest in. So note that it's not you telling them what to do, but you're encouraging them to go after something that they like. That's another way of showing love to someone whose primary love language is words of affirmation. You can affirm someone through like verbal, compliments or words of affirmation, or you can do written where you like write them a note like, oh, you're going to do so well on this job interview, and leave it as a sticky note on their mirror or something like that. So that's love language number 1. Love language number 2, receiving gifts. On this one, it's pretty interesting because he basically talks about how there are 2 types of people. So there's a spender and then there's a saver. So if you're a spender and your partner in this relationship or in this marriage is into receiving gifts and that's their primary love language, you're not going to have a hard time buying the person gifts. However, if you're a saver and the person you're in a relationship with has their primary love language is receiving gifts, you're actually going to experience some type of emotional, emotional reactions when you have to spend your money. And so that's why, like I said earlier on, it's going to be a choice and you have to actually push yourself to learn that love language. When it comes to receiving gifts, he said that a gift is a symbol that shows that you're thinking of someone. He says a bit of interesting things because he says that number 1, that gifts don't have to be expensive. My I thought about it is, if you're in a relationship and you buy someone something that's worth $1 and you're a millionaire, bruh, that's kind of like, seriously, you know. So obviously it is kind of relative, but yeah, he basically says not every gift has to be expensive. He says that you can make gifts, like let's say you make them a card, or you can pick some gifts from the garden and that kind of stuff, or you can do like a parade of gifts. So let's say Valentine's Day is right around the corner. You can do a parade of gifts. In the morning, get flowers delivered to them. In the afternoon, get chocolates delivered to them. In the evening, get a lovely dress delivered to her before you take her to dinner or something like that. So see, that kind of thing. Or you can just do like, you know, regular single gifts, and that person is going to feel loved because that's their primary love language. The third love language is physical touch. So for someone whose primary love language is physical touch, your physical touch is a way of communicating emotional feelings towards that person. So it could be like holding hands, kissing, you know, etc., etc. But on this one, he does say a few key points. So number one, don't assume that someone likes certain touches that you like, and if someone says they don't want you to touch them in a certain way, then don't do it, because you know, you're violating them. That's my thought. And also he said like it shows that you're kind of not caring about how they feel. When it comes to physical touch, there are two types of touches. So it could be implicit or it could be explicit. When it comes to implicit, it takes little time, but it does take much thought, because you have to be like very deliberate about what you're doing. So something that you could do is, when he mentions if you're pouring coffee for your partner, you can like touch them gently on the shoulder or something like that. Or if you're watching your favorite show like Game of Thrones, or if you're watching your favorite show like Unpack, it could be your favorite show, guys, you never know. Anyway, if you're watching your favorite show, you can both sit together, just like have like a little bit of touch, like nudging or something like that, and that's a way of making that communication to your partner. The explicit touches are the ones that are like obviously the bigger gestures, and those ones require like much time and much preparation. So some things could be, he mentions like, let's say if your partner is into massages, you could actually go and get trained on how to give a professional massage, and then you can give your partner a massage. Something else about physical touch is that not every touch should be sexual. Not every touch should be sexual. So like non-sexual touches are much appreciated by someone whose love language is physical touch. So yeah, you can just hug someone and then don't go any further, and then that person will really appreciate that gesture. The fourth love language is acts of service, and this is one where you try to express love to someone by serving them. So something that you could do is, for married people, for example, if your wife is tired and she's just like, you know, like she's tired, go and cook if she's the one who usually does the cooking. For people who are in relationships, let's say you're in college together and like she has a project, your girlfriend has a project that she's working on, or your boyfriend has a project that he's working on, offering to help them. Or even if someone has a lot of things on their to-do list, errands that you can like help them with, and you can take some of those things off their plate. Someone whose primary love language is acts of service would really appreciate something like that. And finally, quality time. So when it comes to quality time, it has to be undivided and focused attention on your partner. You can do it through two ways: quality conversation or quality activities. When it comes to quality conversation, Dr. Gary Chapman mentions that you should listen to what your partner is saying. So sometimes someone will just come to you and they just want to vent. They're not looking for a solution of how they should solve the problem, but they just want someone to listen to them. He does mention that you should listen, give them eye contact, listen out for what they're saying, and then you can ask questions which are more clarifying questions, but then really listen with the motive of understanding where the person is coming from, and then you only give advice when it's asked for. And then the second way, which would be quality activities, this one is pretty cool. So let's say I'm the girlfriend and quality time is my thing, right? Like that's my primary love language. You would want to do activities that I love doing, not activities that you love doing. So yeah, so quality activities is about your partner and what they love doing, even if you hate it. So this is pretty interesting. Let's say you're in a relationship and your girlfriend loves romantic movies, because I mean, I feel like romantic movies are everything. And they love romantic movies, right? And you absolutely hate them. Something that would be appreciated would be if like a romantic movie is out that you know that your partner has wanted to watch for a long time. If you say, oh, let's go watch that movie, and actually seem interested, like don't go and fall asleep in the cinema, that would be something that would be very appreciated, because the person can actually tell that, like, you know, you really do love them and you want them to be happy. Yeah, that's a wrap. Let's work on loving our partners in the way that they feel most loved. And I will see you next week, and cut!